Well, I mean, at the end, it all turned out the best way, but the saddest part about this whole story would have been the following. If I would have done what I've initially wanted to, so not review these, I would have never known what I would have missed out on, and I would have never known how much I would have regretted it. But for all of it to make sense, I have to start the story from the beginning. I was asked if I wanted to review and keep these. And usually whenever I can get something for free that's not Chinese crap that I never would have used otherwise, and it's not even worth my time, I say yes. But in this case, I actually said no for one reason. I said to them, sorry, I cannot review an on-ear just because I can't have them on my ear for long enough to properly evaluate them. Here's where the coincidence comes in. One day later, randomly browsing through the net, I saw a review of these and I thought, let's just check it. And I just checked the first Pro, and when I saw great comfort, I thought, maybe I should give them a try. So I asked if I could get them, and well, here I have them, and I can tell you this much. They completely changed my mind about on-ears, but also about Bluetooth headphones in general. But a lot more later. For now, let's check what's in that box. Obviously the headphones. This carrying pouch, which is okay. I mean, quality-wise, it feels fine. It feels a little bit old school. It's a little bit harder here, so it should still protect the headphones. But in the end, I would have wished for a hard shell case. But let's put that out of the way. You also get a USB cable. I hope this is the right one, but it is USB Type-C, so it should actually be this that you get along as with a cable if you want to use them wired. It's nothing special, but it gets the job done. But that's not important part because that's it. Design-wise, obviously personal choice. You have to see that on your own. I like it, especially on your head. It looks quite okay. It looks like that. It's also available in black and nice metal here. Everything is executed very well. For example, you can rotate them like this and you can rotate them like this. So I really like that option. Obviously some plastic here, and with 240 grams, actually surprisingly lightweight, and they feel high quality. So everything is done here very well. I don't think anything should break anytime soon. But the first thing that actually surprised me a lot, when I had this in my hand, I thought, wow, this leather feels so good, just to see that I was wrong. Because I scrolled through an article, actually just saw the pictures of this, and then it at some point said fake leather, so artificial leather. And I said, no, that can't be. It feels just too good, because what I wanted to say in my review, actually, see, this is so good if you actually get a headphone that has proper leather. So what I did is, just to reconfirm it, I gave it to my brother and said to him, tell me what this is. Real leather, fake leather. And he said, how much do they cost? I said, about $420. And he said, it's fake. And I said, wait, why? He said, it just doesn't feel like real leather. It feels very good, but it feels like leather. So I was wrong. I would have said something wrong, actually, which definitely would have been the first time. But either way, no matter if it's real or not, and let's just say it is fake, it doesn't matter. Because no matter what it is, it feels really nice and soft. It feels really, really good. That's what matters, right? Now the padding here on the top isn't all that big, but it doesn't have to be. It feels fine. The important thing here is this, and I actually don't know how they managed that, but they managed to actually change my mind about on-ears. Because I've reviewed or let's say I had 4 or 5 on-ears here, but I actually did not review 1 or 2, just because I said what I did in the initial thing. I cannot have them on for long enough to actually evaluate them properly. This is not the case here, and I actually don't even get why. Yes, the leather is super soft, but it's not thick in terms of padding, and it will sit on my ears after all. Now, before I'm going into the comfort, let's quickly check the controls. We have USB Type-C, super nice to see that, because even if the cable that I showed you wouldn't be in the right, I just use the one that I use for my phones anyways. Then we have the status LED, we have the power on and off button, and the plug for 3.5mm, which is on, for me, from what I'm used to, on the wrong side, but it makes sense since all the controls are here. And talking about the controls, all touch. Like it or not, I personally don't like it so much, because you can change the sensitivity in the settings on the app, but this whole thing works a little bit odd in my opinion, because it's not super precise. Sometimes I just want to switch the track like this, and it changes the volume. So if you start in the middle, actually if you make the double tap to start, for example, and stop the track, it works. But if you start from the side, it's not quite as good. And before we're getting into the comfort, I have to actually get into the app, because that is important. Therefore I have to turn it on though, because otherwise the app won't work. And I hope it pairs actually directly, which it did actually. So this is the app, and sorry for the reflections here. You can set it on and off, change the sensitivity, update your profile, but I'll get into that in a second. Statistics show you how much you've used it. I didn't use it yet today since I just woke up. You can change, like I said, the sensitivity, some information and so on. Now the important part obviously is this, and this is the Make It Yours app. And I think it makes a way better job than I would have expected. So what you can do is you can go to update your profile, set a few settings, and then you will get test tones. And I'm just gonna say this, the way it works is you hear a test tone, and when you hear it, you tap the screen and you hold it for as long as you can hear still the sound. And I mean, it works out well. It adjusts the sound well, but the thing is, if you are not concentrate properly, or if you maybe don't touch it properly enough, but it's usually you get it done once right and then it's okay. But for example, what Audira does, or Audiera, I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced, where it has an app where you can actually adjust it on your own until you can't hear it anymore. I think that works out better, but the actual optimization works way better here, because there are other headphones that do this kind of optimization on your hearing and so on, but here it actually works. It improves the sound. It sounds the headphone a little bit more than it is, so it gets a little bit less neutral, a little bit less maybe accurate or so, but it sounds better. But later on that, now let's finally get into the comfort. If I put those on, for the very first time I said, oh wait, oh wow, actually yes, I could use these for longer, but let's see about how long yet. Now what I have to say is that the clamping force is a little bit more on the loose side, which is good for long-term comfort, but therefore the security on your head isn't all that much there, because I'm not sure, I saw someone saying that he does already actually sports on this. I would say maybe not so much, at least if you move your head a lot. I think they might fall off. Just normal usage feels something like that, but they never actually fell off my head. But the comfort is surprisingly good, because if I have them on, and I don't know how they manage that, maybe it's just the proper amount of clamping force that this very soft leather, but not all that thick leather, does exactly what it has to, because I can have these on. And the best proof is this, for hours and hours. On my flight to the USA, 9-hour flight, I had these on the whole time. And my ears didn't get sore, they didn't get uncomfortable or anything. They actually did a really good job. They didn't really get any warm, because you still have plenty enough space around. They look absolutely decent enough. So in terms of comfort, I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, if I have a real great over-ear with big pads, soft pads, something like the Odyssey LCD2C, I prefer that. But this is meant to be mobile. And if we are talking about mobile, these are subtle, these are easy, lightweight, comfortable. So actually they did a banging job in that regard. So I have to give it to that. No complaints here. About the leakage and the isolation is actually better than expected, because these don't have noise cancelling, and yet on my flight it didn't bother me, because they did block out so much noise that if I had my sound on, that I have usually louder than most people, I was fine. And the leakage is actually minimal, because I, at least on the plane, didn't disturb anyone, so that's good. Now, since we are already talking about the whole what you hear, how easy are they to power? This is a very important part. I mean, they are decent enough to power if you want to use them wired, but that's actually, it's a mix of absolutely and actually not necessary, because usually whenever I can, I still prefer a wired solution because it sounds better. Not really in this case, especially if you would use it portable. If I would have a phone with a wire using this, I would not get nearly as good of a sound as I just get with Bluetooth, because for me the main advantage is one thing. These are, and I've actually ever said the name, I don't know, Beyerdynamic Aventho Wireless, cost about $420, actually $400 at the moment on Amazon. They are loud enough for me with that's something that I usually never get on Bluetooth headphones, reserves. So about 10-20% I have even left, and I listen way louder than most people do, for whatever reason. Great, enough power. But let's actually talk about the sound now. When it comes to the sound stage, for an on-ear, for an closed back, it's absolutely moderated. So for good size, it doesn't sound too narrow. Obviously, it still sounds less wide than an open bag or a really big closed bag, but it's an absolutely nice size, and the imaging is also quite good, even though here a little bit more precision could be there. Same as, for example, for the bass. The bass could be a little bit tighter maybe. It has enough punch and it actually goes quite deep down, but a little bit more resolution in that regard could have been there. But here is the thing. This is a headphone meant to be mobile. And you actually can, as you have maybe heard already, trigger Google Play. The Google Assistant. I'm not actually quite sure.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I actually don't know how I trigger it sometimes, but during this review I did. But this is meant to be mobile, which means you don't want it super flat, you don't want it super kind of neutral. And this is what you won't get here. And it's good, because usually, whenever I get a Bluetooth headset, it is so heavily sounded that I have a hard time liking it. Yes, there are a few headphones that I'm okay with, but this is the first one that is loud enough for me with the actual EQing on the app that improves the sound, that I'm totally okay with being sounded, because it's not too heavy in any regards. And what they did is actually something that I actually like. So, bass, I said already, it could be a little bit more resolution. Is that a word? And it could have more of that, but it's nice because it's never too much in the foreground, but it's there and it works out with all sort of even bass heavier music. You will never feel like you will miss out on something, but you will also never have the feeling that it gets too much, which can be annoying. Vocal range, I have to say, nicely done, because they bumped it up a little bit, but it's still quite intimate, quite close to you, a little bit in the foreground, but not getting too much to be the main character, so nicely balanced. And then we have highs that are not shrill, they are not fatiguing, and they don't have really any sibilance, but they also don't lose out on the important details. So they did filter them out a little bit, so they are more on the softer side, but still don't have you thinking that they miss out on resolution, so you get everything you want to. So they are a little bit sounded, so a little bit highs, a little bit bass, and then you usually miss out on the mids, but they bumped it up just a little bit that it's necessary, so they feel nicely balanced for a mobile sounded headphone, and that is totally okay for me. And this is actually already my conclusion right now. Yes, they cost $400. No, they don't have noise cancelling, and they are on ear, something that I usually don't like, and yet this is the first Bluetooth or portable or whatever you want to call it, wireless headphone that I'm fully convinced of, where I don't really have a but. Because usually, for example, I reviewed the Teufel Real Blue NC, and I said, really good after all, I can recommend them, but the ear cups are a little bit too small for me. Then, for example, the Sony Heron 2, they are pretty much loud enough, they sound really good, the noise cancelling maybe isn't that good, but the comfort on the long term wasn't so good for me. Same for the Bose QC35. There is always something that at the end doesn't fully convince me. Now on these, I could say, okay, the touch controls are my first thing, but there are no but. And usually what I could have said now is, they are great, I can easily recommend them, but they are sounded, or something like that. But in this case, I would have to say, they are great, I can recommend them, and they are sounded. No but. I don't have any complaints here. They are comfortable for hours and hours. They deliver a great sound. The app actually works, because the good thing is, if you upload your profile onto these headphones, and whenever you connect this one, Bluetooth-wise, to any device, you have that profile. Because on many devices like this, you only have this sound profile if you have it, because it's on the phone, and it's only working with this. No matter what you connect it to with Bluetooth, you get the same sound profile. You won't get it with wired, because you then miss out on it, but it still then sounds really great. After all, easy to drive, not cheap, but it's the best Bluetooth that I've heard. I think that might change in a few weeks when I get the Damir Wireless. Overall, I prefer over ear if I can get them, but these are not just the first on ears that convince me that I actually like wearing. And this is the thing, when I said, for example, if I can get something for free, I always will do it. But in the past, I got already so many cheaper Chinese or gaming headsets and after a review, I never used them again. These I use. Maybe I don't use them here in the studio, because here I have even more higher end headphones, especially that I use wired. This is what I have downstairs in my living room and in my bedroom whenever I want to listen to music, and maybe I do some stuff in the house. Then I use these. Because let's be honest, I still have to say this. They sound great for a $400 Bluetooth headphone. Absolutely convincing, super nice and happy. But if I'm here, wired, lossless music and so, I can still get something better. Okay, obviously also sometimes more expensive. But yep. Totally yep. And maybe now you can get the feeling of what I would have missed out on if I wouldn't have reviewed them, and how much I would have regretted, but I actually never known. So I'm happy that I changed my mind. I'm happy that I got to review them, and if you buy them, you will be very happy. I'm absolutely positive about that. Okay, until next time. Bye.